Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Prospects and Showing One. My name is Chris, and today joining me, we have my name is Chris, and today joining me we have,
Keelan.
and we're going to be talking a little bit about DeAndre Swift going to the Detroit Lions. Ended up taking him with the 35th overall pick in the second round today. So, well, actually, I'm going to say yesterday. Any thoughts on DeAndre Swift?
Yeah, I was a big fan of his tape. I had him as my running back too, by just like a point or two. I think he's really good at everything. He's a terrific pass catcher. He's good in between the tackles. He's good with the outside zone runs. He can do it all in. He can play in any scheme.
Nice. Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. He was, I think, the only running back this year that I gave all nines or higher to out of the
Interesting.
14 guys that I watched so far. So definitely someone who I really liked was my running back one, barely over Taylor, but I definitely have him quite a bit ahead of everyone else for the Lions. So it was really nice to see them decide to, well, actually I should say us, decide to invest in a player of DeAndre Swift's caliber who can be a factor in the passing game. That was my number two need going into the draft, was a third down pass catching type back. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be limited to third downs, it's just that he can fill that role of being able to be a receiving threat out of the backfield and a passing play. So, with that being said, the Detroit Lions posted some highlights of his on their YouTube channel, and we're just going to play a little bit of those and watch those and have a little bit of fun. We've already done a full video on DeAndre Swift earlier this year. For those of you guys who missed that, definitely go ahead and check that out. We did a full-on breakdown of him. I believe it was Notre Dame, Arkansas State, and the other non-conference team they played. I forgot who.
Georgia Tech.
You know, it was like some random. Oh no, it was Vanderbilt. Yes,
Close
so
enough.
definitely go ahead and check that out if you guys haven't seen that already. But yeah, it's just a nice little bit. In the meantime, while the highlights are going in the background, if you have anything more to say about Swift and his potential usage in fit, feel free to go ahead.
Um, you spoke about it a bit, but I do think he can be like or a pass catching back. He can be a third down back, but he's not limited to that role. Like he's a terrific runner in between the tackles. He's really good at just about everything. So I feel confident that when Carry inevitably gets injured, he can be a bell cat running back.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like the room that's going on with Carry and Swift, sort of just like sharing the backfield, I guess.
But one thing I really like about DeAndre is his ability to break tackles and make defenders miss in space. And you guys are seeing that with most of these highlights. But not only is he shifty, which is the common word that's being used for him to describe him by a lot of the media as shiftiness and elusiveness and all that stuff. But he has a little bit of run through with power as well. He has really good contact balance, ability to fall forward consistently. So he has some of those power runner traits. Obviously not the biggest frame guy, he's only 5'9", 215. But he does a lot of the things that you would want a power runner to do. Pick up those extra yards, fall forward, uh, extend the ball. He does a great job of maximizing yards both before and after contact, which is something that I really, really value in running back, and that's why he's my running back one. It's because of his ability to generate yards by reading blocks and his vision and his aggressiveness to take every yard at the snap point, but also, oh well, we're gonna have to deal with it. Also, his ability to uh, be a guy who can extend plays after the catch through contact balance, through one for all that kind of stuff. So it's really fun to watch him be a factor in so many different ways, and even outside of being a running back, he is a great receiving talent for us, and that's how. That's the one thing I really want to highlight in this video before we go is what DeAndre Swift is going to be able to do for our offense and our playbook and our versatility and mismatches. So we talked about this on our Zoom call earlier with Daniel Keelan.
Yeah.
But for the video, for those of you guys who are unfamiliar with a lot of the modern day offenses nowadays, what they're really doing is they're really predicated based on motion and being able to well, not even necessarily confuse, but uh, assess defenses pre-snap and even just be able to give a different look. It might not even necessarily be meant to confuse. It might just be necessarily to be versatile and give the defense something different and kind of create monotony, not get rid of the monotony of offensive play calling. And we talked about this a lot when the lines were predictable in the Jim Bob Cooter days. How every single play was basically predictable. We didn't use enough motion. We didn't do this and that. And DeAndre Swift is going to be a catalyst for all of those types of things for us. He's going to be able to be a motion man. He's going to be able to be a pass catcher in a theoretic role. He's going to be able to run the ball up the middle in a way that we haven't really had other than healthy carry on in a while. Uh, so, but yeah, he also has the speed and the quickness of. I don't want to compare him to Javi Best, but probably in that type of. I guess Reggie Bush is probably a closer comparison amongst Lions backs the last 10 years. But he's someone who really has the ability to uh, be a very versatile piece for this offense. And so there's going to be a variety of things that I really am looking forward to seeing from him. And things that I expect Darrell Bevell to do with him. I'm just going to talk about these pretty briefly. I don't want to spend too much time recording this because, like I said, we've already talked about this, the player. But from a scheme standpoint, the first thing I want to mention is what he's going to be able to do in the slot. Danny Amendola is our slot receiver right now, and after him, our best slot receiver is probably Jerome Allison. Which is fine. Jerome Allison's an okay depth guy, but he's not really that great. So what I expect to see happen is DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson will be getting some of the slot reps. And maybe even potentially Jesse James, but that's a whole nother discussion. So I'm really curious to see what DeAndre Swift can do in the slot in running routes and his ability to extend plays after the catch. We've seen him on screen passes. We've seen him underneath. We've seen him in a variety of different things at Georgia. But it'll be fun to see what he can do as a actual threat catching the football consistently out of the slot. He even talked about this in his pre-draft press conference. How one thing that he talked a lot about with the Lions franchise during his pre-draft meetings here, which apparently we talked about most of any team, was his ability to play and flexing the slot. So I definitely expect that to be a part of our game plan with him, especially if we are able to utilize two running back sets. And that's the next thing I want to talk about, is when him and Kerryon are both healthy, we have a lot of ways that we can get two running backs on the field. We can put Swift out wide. We can put Swift in a split back set, where you have two guys in the backfield with Swift and Kerryon. Or you can run a wildcat set where Kerryon is your quarterback, quote, quarterback, and you have Swift and one of the other roles, basically the quote receiver role in your wildcat looks. So it really allows you to do a variety of things from that standpoint. Also, from a receiving aspect, you really get to create high-low reads. And one thing that we got to see with TJ Hawkinson last year is he wasn't really as productive as some people wanted him to be for a number 8 overall pick. And part of that was because teams were able to focus on him because we had no pass catching threats out of the backfield. Our only pass catching back was J.D. McKissick, and he was like 50 something out of 60 running backs in pass catching last year. Ty Johnson was literally 60th out of 60. He was atrocious as a pass catching back. And Kerryon was hurt most of the year. Bo Scarborough, I don't even know how many targets he had, probably single digits at most. So,
Yeah, he's strictly power.
right.
Or
More of a goal line
yeah.
back, short yardage type deal. So with Swift, what you're going to really look to utilize is those high-low reads where you get TJ Hawkinson running down the field and Swift underneath to really stretch the safeties, or vice versa, where you're stretching the linebackers out with Swift going down the field and Hawkinson going underneath to attract the safety help, lower that safety specifically in a single high look, and really give Swift the space to stretch the field down the field with the linebacker in a one-on-one. So really, it's all about maximizing those mismatches for both TJ and DeAndre Swift, and this is going to be a really big pick for TJ Hawkinson, both as a receiver and as a blocker. Well, he's going to have to obviously block for DeAndre as well when he's in line. So there's a couple of things to really look out for. But also it gives us a little bit more of a screen game. We didn't really have that run after the catch threat last year. Danny Amendola, when he was healthy, was good in short area, but he never really was like a screen guy. He was more of like your slant, your flat, your hitch, like your short area type. With Swift, we're going to be able to run a little bit more screens. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow the offense to work in space. And when the offense works in space, there's a bigger chance to create more big plays. So I'm really excited about the big play potential that DeAndre Swift is going to bring to us next year. And his ability to kind of maximize the green area of the field instead of having to work in between the boundary in the number in the hash or in between the hashes. He's going to be able to really give us full horizontal versatility as well as vertical versatility when paired with TJ. The other final thing that I really want to talk about is pass protection. And this is something that the Lions really, really value in our running backs. It's one of the reasons why we traded up for Kerryon when we took him. And I'm sure it's one of the reasons why we took DeAndre Swift. Is Swift was one of the better pass blocking backs in this class this year, especially when you compare him to guys like J.K. Dobbins. Really, really underrated pass protector, especially for someone his size. And so what that allows you to do is it allows you to keep either Swift or Kerryon in the backfield on both passing and run plays, because even though Kerryon isn't the biggest receiving threat, he has a little bit of pass protection upside and really showed development in that area over his limited playing time here. Limited, of course, because of injury. And Swift has the ability to continue to grow and develop in that area, but also has enough of a competency and basing uh, level of standard, I guess, to where he can effectively play that role with a minimal work. So it allows you to really balance that backfield out to where he can rotate the two of them effectively without losing that loss of pass protection, without losing. Well, okay, Swift probably a better receiver, but even Kerryon when he gets targets and when he's like throwing the ball in space, I feel like he has at least enough receiving ability to create yards after the catch, just not as good as Swift. And also, you have very similar styled runners. Now, I don't necessarily say that in terms of patience, because Kerryon is much more patient runner and follows his blocks, whereas DeAndre Swift is much more take what you can get, explosive through the whole course. But what you're really going to see is they're both guys who have very good vision, very good processing speed, can read the field well, and have all those mental traits there that you really want to see from a Lions running back. And again, it's all the kinds of things that we talked about with Kerryon that we were lacking before when I did my video on him in 2018. The kinds of things where you can really see him be that guy who will really extend drives, keep the ball in our hands, keep the the offense, or okay, we'll keep the offense on the field, keep the defense off of it, however you want to phrase that, and really just keep moving the chains and keep that success rate going. Average 6.6 yards per carry, which is the most of any Georgia running back of all time. And that's pretty crazy considering some of the running backs that Georgia's had there. So I'm really, really excited to see what Swift can do as a runner, of course, because he is a running back. He's going to get carries. He's going to get, obviously, line up in the backfield at times, especially if Kerryon gets hurt. But more importantly, as a receiving threat, and what he's going to be able to do in terms of versatility, schematically, for the playbook, for the other players on this team, specifically TJ Hawkinson, and the other guys, like, say, Stafford, having a running back who we can throw to again for the first time since Theo Reddick consistently, or a run game, probably the best running back room he's ever had. Reggie Bush and Joyke Bell were good for a year in 2014, but even then they really, really struggled down the stretch. And they had their limitations. Reggie Bush was not as good a runner near at that point in his career as DeAndre Swift was, and Joyke Bell was not really as athletic as Kerryon Johnson is. So Kerryon is basically a better version of Joyke Bell, and DeAndre Swift is basically a better version of Reggie Bush when he was here in 2014. So if we can kind of recreate that dynamic and really go the Patriot way, the Patriots are known for using a committee with their backfield as well. DeAndre Swift can be our Sonny Michel type, and Kerryon Johnson can be our, I don't know, James White, Rex Burkhead, insert whoever you want to here.
Right.
and kind of be that really nice 1-2 punch that we've been really missing since, well, ever, because even when we had Barry, we never really had a power back. So, any responses or anything you want to add to my comments?
I'll add this with this entire off season. It's been
The theme of the
becoming
offseason.
increasingly clear that we're putting a lot of emphasis on prioritizing the run game.
True.
From the signing of Hal Vaitai, the big power right tackle, the run blocker, the mauler, and then going ahead and, of course, drafting Swift, who's a really, really good running back, and then drafting a right guard, which
Sure plays
in Jonah
Glasgow.
Jackson, right? And while he is a really good run blocker, he can also pass protect. But the point is that this team is emphasizing the necessity to run the football, and this run game should definitely improve next year, if there is,
Yeah. And I think that the most important thing, just one final point before we leave, is that this is not going to be a run game where we're going to want to see Swift and Kerryon get 1,000 yards apiece. That's not the type of thing that you're going to be expecting or hoping for. What you really want to see, and what would be fantastic news for us, is if we can have a top 10 efficiency in the run game. I want to see us top 10 yards per carry. Not necessarily total yards, not necessarily touchdowns, not necessarily whatever, yards per game, anything like that. I want to see us top 10 in yards per touch. And if we can do that effectively, we can have a high success rate of runs, keep the offense on schedule, and do those types of things. That's what's going to make our run game successful, and that is going to be the judge of what makes how good this Swift pick is year one and or going forward. Is if we can keep the offense on schedule, if we can be efficient every single touch we get, and if we can keep the chains moving and keep the offense on the field.
this run, like the the running back room reminds me a bit of the Saints back when Alvin Kamara was a rookie, with carry on being your Mark Ingram
Yep.
and Swift obviously being your Alvin Kamara. It's just it's interesting. There's a lot of different things you can do and with these two guys, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch.
So, yeah, with that being said, this is more of a ramble than a film breakdown or anything like that. But
Right.
for those of you guys interested in seeing us break down Swift tape, definitely feel free to check out the actual breakdown. This is more of a draft pick reaction video more than anything. But for now, hope you guys learn. Hope you guys like this Swift pick, I guess, because this isn't a film breakdown, so I have to change the outro. Hopefully, you guys like this Swift pick as much as we do, and are excited to see what he can do for the Lions next year and beyond. Definitely feel like he was a uh, better pick than some people are making him out to be in the media based on the running back value thing. And while I normally don't like running, I've talked about this before in our group chat, so I normally don't like running backs in the second round. Uh, Getting someone who can be a factor in the passing game like Swift can, and be that kind of missing piece of the puzzle in a lot of ways is something that you really have to consider and value and placing emphasis on. So,
Right.
with that said, hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Enjoy day 3 or the rest of the draft or whenever you guys decide to watch this. And for now, peace out.